everyone. So I just wanted to make this video about my top 3 favorite AT&T long lines towers. So of course we're going to start out my local one because it's an icon. You know, it's pretty cool. So my local AT&T long lines tower was built in 1966. Now this tower here is actually in risk of demolition, but I'll do a video explaining that later. So this is my first favorite long lines tower. Now between the tallest long lines tower and my local one, I kind of switch time to time. You know, like this one's my top and this one's like sometimes my top favorite, but this one's actually my first favorite though. You know, it's kind of hard sometimes. But my second favorite is the tallest one in Catawba, Ohio. The concrete one was built in 1949, and the steel one was added on in 1966 for additional height. Now the concrete ones are built because steel was in short supply during the wars back then, like the Cold War and stuff. Then in 1950, steel became replenished again, and that became the standard for the towers. Now I do have an uncle that lives really close to this tower, and believe it or not, but back in 1986 and 1988, he actually climbed to the tower to replace the incandescent light bulbs and the beacons. They were taken down in the 90s, but believe it or not, but this tower was actually beaconless for a little while, until 2007 it got FH308s. Now, if I remember correctly, the FH308s had issues. Like, they didn't really work as much on day mode. But there was times where they would only work on night mode. Now, and then, like, in 2011 and beyond, they started working both day and night mode. And then I wanted to see the tower in 2020, and it got white-only LEDs, which is the FTS370W. Now, the tower was hit by lightning about, I'd say probably a month ago, and the top LED went into stationary mode, and the lower LED was still flashing, but one of the lower LEDs actually shined a purplish color, like a pinkish or whatever, because it took a direct hit from the lightning, and that LED must have been really messed up after the direct hit. Now, the tower did get new LEDs, like the 370Ws, and I talked to one of the guys working on it, and they said they just scrap them out, and they're not really fascinated with keeping them for people, you know, like holding them until people want them. They just take them out for scrap, but they are kind of heavy though. But the thing is, they were putting new antennas on it because the antennas were messed up on it. And it's got a lightning rod up there too that they recently installed. Now, believe it or not, but one of the old school incandescents is actually sitting inside that concrete tower. But it was a cool visit. Now, my third favorite long lines tower is in Illinois. It's one of these wine barrel long lines towers. So I call this design the wine barrel because as the rings at the top make it look like a barrel, then it's got the microwave dish. So this tower here was built in 1979, or around that time frame. It was actually a great long lines tower. It never did have the original red and white paint. Now this tower here used to have 2 microwave dishes that supported the long lines network, but they were taken down. The route was out of service in the 80s. So the tower had some unique history to it. And also, before it got the microwave dishes in the 80s, it actually had the periscope antennas, which is those big panels. So yeah, there's my top 3 favorite AT&T long lines towers.